I bet you're wondering just what's going on. So quit your sneaking around. This is where you belong. So open up the doors now. Welcome to the temple. Welcome to the sanctuary. You don't have to hurry, just come on in. Welcome to the presence. Welcome to the family. You don't have to hesitate, just come on in. Come on in and sit down. Take it, my friend.
Now that you notice all the love around you, and that you hear all the voices raised in song, I hope you catch yourself dancing and singing along. So let your body move now. Welcome to the temple. Welcome to the sanctuary. You don't have to worry, just come on in. Welcome to the presence. Welcome to the family. You don't have to hesitate. Just come on in. Come on in and sit down
To the beat now. Welcome, welcome, come on in. Welcome, welcome, come on in.
Welcome,
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 come on in.
come on in. Welcome,
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 come on in.
come on in.
Welcome,
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 come on in.
welcome to the
Welcome,
temple.
come on in.
Welcome to the
Welcome,
sanctuary.
come on in.
Welcome to the
Welcome,
temple. Yeah, yeah.
welcome to the temple.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on in and sit
Down.
Sit yourself down.
Woo. All right. It sounds good this morning. You guys can sing along. We have come together as family. We have come here as we are. Oh, we have come with arms wide open. We have gathered here in love. Oh, Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Raise your roof and shout to praise. Spirit's in this place. We sing in celebration. We sing with words of prayer. Yeah. We affirm our life as sacred. We declare the peace is here. Oh, Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Raise a roof, we'll shout to praise. Spirit's in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof, we'll shout to praise. Spirit's in this place.
So good morning. Wow, that was great, you guys. We at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living acknowledge that we gather on the ancestral lands of the Cahuilla, Gabrielina Tongva, Kizh, and Luiseño peoples. We commit to live in right relations, to love our neighbors, to seek justice and loving kindness, and to walk humbly on this land. We recognize our oneness so that we decolonize our minds and set each other free from the pain of racism and violence to live better as God intended in harmony with nature and with one another. So again, good morning and welcome. Good morning. I'm Allison Berry, one of the licensed spiritual practitioners at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, where love lives here. Yes, absolutely. We have got a wonderful guest speaker who I'm going to be introducing in just a bit. As you already know, I'm sure, I am serving as your guest host today while Reverend Jeffrey continues to rejuvenate and relax on vacation. And I want to say hello to everyone who's joining us on our live stream today. Apologies for our camera going down last week, but here we are again, so that's fabulous. And please be sure to type in where you're watching from, and we are so happy that you are joining us online. And today we have a very special tribute to make. We are going to be dedicating today's service to the memory of practitioner Dan Castle, who made his, who I'm going to get misty here. He made his transition this past week. And he was just a beloved member of this community. He loved this center. He became a member in 2006. And of all the tributes that I saw online, which were many this week, he was characterized as just the epitome of joy and unconditional love. He was absolutely one of the funniest people I ever knew, so that was an added plus. And yet on the serious side, he was just a spiritual seeker. He had practiced Buddhism for many years and just was seeking. And when he came to Science of Mind, it just connected him. And so his, even if you didn't know him, I just know his energy is still here because he transmitted just pure joy all the time. And there is, he also had a beautiful deaf ministry here. He did a lot of ASL interpretations and signing for our service. And there is a book in the lobby that he wrote on Sign With Us. And if you would like to have a copy of that, we would love to have you have that. And if you'd like to leave a love offering, that would be fabulous. And so we're dedicating this time to him specifically today. I believe that his service won't be for another 2 or 3 months. They're waiting for family members to be able to come in. So we'll give you details about that in the future. But we send love and light to his entire family. And so, with that being said, he would love to be celebrating birthdays. This is the first Sunday of the month, so we do honor any August birthdays. If anybody here who has a birthday in August, please stand. Oh, please stand up. Yay. All right, we're going to sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cindy and everybody else in the world. Everyone's birthday today. Happy birthday to you.
Awesome. And we also want to acknowledge any anniversaries that might be happening in August. Does anyone have an anniversary? Oh, Frank and Helen. How many years? Wow, congratulations. That is just, yes. So, thank you. Oh, awesome. Well, we'll be sure to give you extra hugs, especially to Helen after service. Just kidding. I do want to remind everyone in the sanctuary to please put your phones on silent so that our time together is uninterrupted. And now we're going to get everyone up and moving with our congregational song, This Joy. So please stand.
We need y'all on this, right? This joy that I have,
The world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me.
this joy that I have,
The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away.
we're almost there.
The strength that I have,
There we go.
the world didn't give it to me.
This strength that I have,
The world didn't give it to me.
this strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me.
The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me.
This love that I have,
The world didn't give it to me. This love that I have,
the world didn't give it to me.
the world didn't give it. The world can't take it away.
Right.
This pride that I have, the world didn't give it to me.
This pride that I have,
The world didn't give it to me.
this pride that I have,
The world didn't give it to me.
the world didn't give it.
The world can't take it
Away.
Peace,
This peace that I have,
the world didn't give it to me.
this peace that I have,
The world didn't give it to me. This peace that I have,
the world didn't give it to me.
the world didn't give it. The world can't take it
Away.
One more time, sing your joy.
This joy that I have,
The world didn't give it to me.
this
Joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away.
Fun. Practitioner Amber Holland and I will be available for prayer after service in the prayer room that's located in the lobby. And just want to remind you, please don't leave here this morning with anything on your heart. We would love to pray with you, and we absolutely know that prayer works. Now, please allow this music to take you into the silence, followed by this morning's invocation.
We are one, we are one, we are all one in God. We are love, we are love, we are all the love of God. Beauty surrounds me, falling at my feet. As I hear the calling of the Holy One in me, we are whole, we are whole, we are all the wholeness of God. We are strength, we are strength, we are all the strength of God. Beauty surrounds me, falling at my feet. As I hear the calling of the Holy One in me, we are made, we are made, we are all made of God. We are one, we are We are all one in God. We are, we are, we are, we are, we are one in God. We are one in God. One in God. We are one in God. We are.
And so let's join together in consciousness. If it's comfortable for you, close your eyes as we center in and center down, feeling indeed that we are one in God. The enduring truth of life that I know absolutely is that there is only one presence, only one divine power, only one source, only one infinite intelligence that lives, moves, and has its being in all, as all, and through all. It is eternally present, everywhere present, ever available, pure potentiality, birthless and deathless and changeless, absolute in its unconditional love. For this divine presence, this pure energy of love and light, is a very epitome of unconditional love, deep, pure agape love. It is joy, unspeakable joy, boundless good, limitless supply, opulent supply. And it is the harmony of the spheres. It is grace and beauty that infuses itself through and as all of nature, all of life, all of our beloved four-leggeds and the winged ones and the finned ones, and just each and every being emanates this perfection, the wholeness, the harmony, the allness of spirit. And so, this being so, I know absolutely that we are each beautiful, radiant expressions of the Most High God, at one with the allness of spirit, one with every attribute of the divine, uniquely and fashioned and formed of this God stuff. And so, as we come together this morning, we are keenly aware of this divine inheritance, of the truth of who and what we truly are, beautiful spiritual beings. And so we exude love this day. We rest in it. We call forth love and joy in a beautiful remembrance of a magnificent practitioner, Dan Castle. I am blessing him on his ongoing journey, knowing that he soars unencumbered, free, pain-free, just in absolute pure blissful freedom. And what a blessing he has poured forth in this earthly realm and in his greater yet to be. I'm blessing each and every person present this day. I'm knowing that we are each open and receptive to the whisperings of spirit, to catching exactly what truth, what connection, what is meant for us to just lift us up, to take us forward, to move us onward in this beautiful spiritual path. I know that absolutely everything in this service is in perfect and right and divine order, and that each of us is open to a wondrous healing at deep and profound ways and levels. I know that at this beautiful appreciation of the wonder and the awesomeness of nature just exudes through and as this entire service as we focus on that today. And indeed, we are both blessed and a blessing. And I let this all be so, and together we say, and so it is.
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all the things that you said we were to gain? What about killing feels? Is there a time? What about all the things that you said was yours and mine? Did you ever stop to notice all the blood we shed before? Did you ever stop to notice this crying earth, this weeping shores? What have we done to the world? Look what we've done. What about all the peace that you pledged your only son? What about flowering fields? Is there a time? What about all the dreams that you said was yours and mine? Did you ever stop to notice all the children dead from war? Did you ever stop to notice this crying earth, this weeping shores? I used to dream, I used to glance beyond the stars. Now I don't know where we are, although I know we drifted far.
Never
Wow, wow, wow. That was absolutely stunning. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you so much, Dubell. Just spectacular. We are so blessed. Whew. So let's once again come together in consciousness for a moment and say our focus statement together with great exuberance and joy. So together, is it up there? Okay, there it is. Woo-hoo. Okay, together. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Beautiful. And so I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker today. She is Reverend Sarah Adams, a licensed minister with Centers for Spiritual Living. She was raised in Science of Mind, and some of her favorite members were attending Youth of Religious Science teen camps and being one of the founding members of Agape's Vision Essence youth group. As an adult, Sarah spent her early professional life building bridges and roads, literally, as an Army engineer, and has been an educator and a school leader for close to 20 years. She has a master's in teaching as well as a master's in consciousness studies. She has a passion for people and building community, believing every being has a unique gift and a life path that supports greater and greater revelations of truth. Her mission is to live life fully awakened to the consciousness behind all forms, with an ear to the still small voice, a heart for our shared humanity, and an eye for the universal arc of transformation unfolding as each of us. So please join me in giving a rousing Riverside welcome to Reverend Sarah.
I love that rousing Riverside welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Allison. How great. Wow, thank you. It's so good to be here again. And what a privilege to be in spiritual community with people who are dedicated to living love out loud and in themselves and recognizing and experiencing that in themselves and in each other for healing and transformation of your own life and the life of the community around you and the greater world. There couldn't be anywhere better and any worthier cause to spend time than together this morning. So thank you. What a privilege. So good. Today, this month, the theme is living wonder in nature. And really, today we get to talk about what does that look like on planet Earth and being in the wonder of that. And when I think about nature and planet Earth in general, what do you think of? What comes to mind if you're thinking about planet Earth? Do you have a feeling of joy, or maybe you have a feeling of hopelessness, or maybe it's both? Yeah, I can think for myself. Driving over here, I was remembering when, growing up, I went to these teen camps, and they mostly were, the summer ones were up in Idlewild, so just up the mountain from here. And I remember just the joy of like getting up the mountain, and we would get to the tree line and the smell of the pine trees and just seeing all the green and the majestic peaks and the creeks and the water, and just living in the wonder of that was so inspiring and like soul nourishing, and seeing the stars at night and feeling my tiny minuscule place in the universe. And then we would go back at the end of the week, we'd go back home and drive down the mountain. And this is in the 80s and the early 90s. And so there was definitely smog present. I would see like this layer of just kind of haze and kind of descend back into the freeways and concrete jungle and whatnot. And so I kind of think about that. Like I can think that there are times when I can really feel present to the wonder of nature and the beauty of it, and feel that oneness. And then there are times where I'm confronted with the reality of the impact that our human endeavors make, whether it's in air pollution or whether it's in the reduction of green space or pollution in our oceans and rivers. So what can we think about in terms of what can we bring to this experience from a science of mind perspective? Because the truth is we're human and divine. We are spiritual beings having a spiritual being experience in a human body, in a human context. We're walking this earth right, where we are. So what can we do? Because we know that in science of mind, there is only one. There is this oneness that is back of everything. There's this infinite living consciousness that is pouring itself and expressing itself into and as and through everything. So how can I bring that spiritual truth into those experiences where I'm coming back down and down the mountain and I'm in the human smog and pollution and traffic of it all? So when I know that I can be tapped into that oneness, that infinite consciousness, then I know that what I believe and what I speak, and when I can speak the truth and really come from that, then I know that I can't help but manifest and experience a greater experience of truth and oneness. So practically, like, how can we do that? How can we have like one foot in each, like in the spiritual experience, and bring that right into the root, into the center of the moment that we're in? And I think the first part of that is to be fully present in the awe and the wonder of it. If we can be absolutely aware with the awe and the wonder when we have those encounters in nature, or when we just marvel at something we see. Ernest Holmes repeatedly says that we can only experience that which we embody. So let's embody that experience of the world that we want to live in, the world of wholeness and justice and beauty and equity and a clean and healthy environment. So, Ernest Holmes also refers to, he has this phrase that's been living with me lately, that the beauty of form around me is the garment of God. So I know that what I seek, when I find what I'm looking for. So if I'm going to seek and want to experience the garment of God, I'm going to look for it wherever I am. I was recently, I'm a podcast junkie, so I listen to all sorts of things. And I was listening to this interview with this fellow who is a researcher on awe and wonder, which is fortunate for us to talk about awe and wonder today. His name's Dacher Keltner, and he's a researcher at UC Berkeley, and he specifically researches awe and wonder. And so he says awe is a brief emotion, and it is the feeling you have when you encounter vast things that you cannot understand. So I think about, he's then gone on to do these research and study that when you have experiences of awe and when you're really present to that moment of wonder, it does things for your mind and for your consciousness. And so like some of the things is that it actually physically stretches your mind. If we have to, we have to stretch our mind to embody and imagine a greater world than what we have right now. So let's do some exercises to stretch that. Let's live in the moment of wonder and awe. So he says, that he did one study where he had a group of people in a museum, and some of them were looking at this enormous life-size replica of a T-Rex dinosaur, just the enormity of it. And people stood there for a couple minutes, and then you had another group that was just wandering around. And he had them both fill out a sentence at the end, "I am blank." And so the people who stood in awe and kind of wondered at this enormous marvel of this T-Rex, their answers, when they said "I am," all of their answers had to do with, they identified themselves with more of the collective, with their belonging to something greater. And the people who didn't have that kind of awe experience, their answers were much more insular, much more just focused on a narrow identity. So really having an experience of awe stretches our experience of oneness and belonging to something more than ourselves. The other thing that living in an awe and a wonder moment does is that it increases our capacity for compassion and the tendency to collaborate. So he said people who experience awe have more, are more likely to cooperate and share resources and sacrifice for others. So he said being in the presence of vast things calls forth a more modest, less narcissistic self, which enables greater kindness towards others. So another experiment he did was on the campus of Berkeley. There's, I guess, the tallest eucalyptus trees in North America. So he had some people stand in this grove and look up and behold them, and another group that was just staring at, I think, across the campus. And then they had this experiment unbeknownst to the people where someone was walking by and dropped something. They dropped a pen. And the people who had just spent some moments looking up at the trees and the wonder, they were more likely to stop and help the person pick up the pen for them and give them. And he replicated this over and over. So So can we add a moment of awe? And he says just 15 minutes a week really has these benefits of increasing our mind and our capacity for oneness, for understanding and belonging, for kindness and compassion. So can we add that? Can we be, when we find a moment of awe, can we really savor it? You know, whether it's something you see in your garden, maybe just the wonder of a rose unfolding in all of its beautiful, or the scent, or maybe it's a tree. I live by Balboa Park in San Diego, and there's these trees, these fig trees that are enormous. They remind me of the tree of life. They're hundreds of years old. And just to stand next to a tree that's that old, or I was camping in Yosemite earlier this summer and standing next to trees that were like thousands of years old, just to savor a moment, wherever it is. Or maybe it's something just reading a marvel that someone invented, or seeing those pictures from the telescope that went, you know, beyond the Hubble, that you got to see pictures from millions of years ago. That's awe-inspiring. That blows my mind, literally, right? So we can stay in that moment. We can be present in those moments when we find them, just to really savor them and be present to that moment of awe and wonder. And at the same time, we also can be present and really authentically present to when things are hard and are difficult. And when we find out things that are happening in the environment, to our beloved planet, that are impacting it, we can also be present to that, even though it can be uncomfortable. I think it's really important, because we're not in the business of bypass, right? We've talked about this, I'm sure, that we're in the business of being present in this world and manifesting a world that works for everyone in the midst of what it is. And so we have to really see what it is to be able to break through that and have a greater experience. So we need to be present to that, be present to what we hear, what's hard for someone else, to be present to when something feels destructive, like when I was in Yosemite earlier this summer, camping and being amongst the trees and feeling the wonder of it. A week later, I hear about the wildfires, and there were fires that were encroaching and were going to burn these trees that were thousands of years old, and my heart just hurt. So it's important for us to be present to that, to really feel the loss of that, to feel the grief of that, to be able to hold how important that is, to let that speak to us. I was also listening to a podcast interview recently with a woman named Colette Pichon Battle, and she's a lawyer. She's the founder and director of the Gulf Coast Center for Law and Policy, and she's created a network called the Red, Black, and Green New Deal, a climate initiative for the movement of Black lives. She's from the Creole, kind of South Bayou in Louisiana. And she had some wonderful and insightful things to say about what's happening. And she's taking action for the things. But she talked about some of these experiences that we really have to wake up to, that we have to see and speak to. We want to have, we want to see what's happening. So everything from, like she was talking about, these oil companies that for their fear of losing profits, they will inhibit growth into solar panels. Like they'll lobby against the incentives for people to have solar energy just so they can have their profits. She talked about a way of being present. She organized this pilgrimage of people of color and indigenous people. They went to she lives at the very end of the Mississippi, and she took this group to the very headwaters of Mississippi, and they traveled down the river, and every time they'd stop, they'd seek out indigenous people and acknowledge the land where they pulled in, and they would seek permission to be there, and they would have these rituals, and they would listen to what their experience was of the environment around them, what the impact was, all the way down the river, and hearing how different things impacted them. So she could see like there was this cycle of destruction where there's drilling for fossil fuels in New Orleans and that in the Gulf Coast, and then those fossil fuels are used to create pesticides and chemicals that get used in Minnesota and Iowa and all the way along the river that poison the waters. And then they travel down, and then they create these dead zones back at the mouth of the Mississippi where fish can't grow. And it's a cycle that impacts all of these people along the river and impacts communities who can't fish, who can't, whose community was revolving around that as their food source or their income. And they just sat and cried together. And so I think it's important to really be present to what it is and how things impact others and how our actions impact others, so that we can be present not from a place of shame or blame, but just from a place of responsibility and ownership, because we are one. We care about our community. We care about the world. We can come from a place that knows that there's something better, and we can move through that we are more than our mistakes, we are more than our harmful actions, but we have to take action to address that. She says this challenge requires us to recognize a power that greater than ourselves and a life longer than the ones we will live. It requires us to believe in the things that we're privileged enough not to see, not to have to see. So it really requires us to be present in the same moment of knowing that there's a greater power than we see in this moment, and that there's a life that's longer than the one we're living, and we're living into that. We're supporting that experience. So that leads us into what can we do when we're being present to the wonder and awe of something, and we're being present to what's hard and uncertain, the impact of actions around us. How can we move forward then from that place? And so I think it's for us to, like I said before, we're breaking through. We're not bypassing or ignoring or denying. We're seeing what is and moving through that from a higher consciousness, a higher vibration. That's our gift in Science of Mind, as we get to continually practice and remember what spiritual truth can I know in this moment? And I have to be able to see it first to be able to take action. Michael Singer wrote The Untethered Soul, and he wrote a few other books about surrender. And he was talking about, if like an analogy that made sense to me, if you can't stand the sight of blood, then you can't really address a cut or an injury. You have to be able to see it first to be able to heal it or put something on it, right? So we have to be able to see it. But then he also talked about like what consciousness can we inhabit as if it was like a hot air balloon, and we have this higher consciousness that we know that we are from, that is all that we are, but we have these thoughts and these old beliefs that kind of tether us and hold us down. So what thoughts do we have when we're moving into these situations, when we're talking about our planet and climate change? Do we have a thought that nothing is ever going to change? Do we have a thought that money and lobbyists always win out? Or maybe it's more of a personal nature, that this always happens, this is the way the world is. Those thoughts, if we can be aware of them and conscious of them, then we can let them go, and we can do things and do the spiritual work to release them, so that we can inhabit a higher consciousness, so we can live into a greater truth that we know is true. I was at a family event recently with family friends that included Reverend Michael Beckwith, and he was talking about evolution and talking about, like, we have the traditional sense of evolution where things were, like Charles Darwin discovered, where when we have a limitation or a constriction, it forces us to adapt through the pain or the loss of that, whatever that constriction is. Kind of like that notion of the spiritual 2x4, something painful happens to you, and then you wake up and you realize you need to know a deeper truth because that was such a painful experience. But he talks about another level of evolution called active conscious evolution. And that's where we're taking in what we know, and we know, if we absolutely know that the universe is always for us, that life is for us, that life is good and always happening for our highest and best good, then we can look at everything we encounter as something to help aid our awakening. So we can consciously go into everything and say, let this serve my greater awakening. Let this experience, let whatever I'm having, whatever's happening in my environment, serve a greater revelation of the light and truth of my divine design. It could be that we wake up each morning and ask and seek for everything to serve our good. Let nothing be wasted. So we can have that conscious evolution as we move into all the issues that we encounter in our life today, and the greater experience of our world, whether it's climate change or injustice. It's the idea, I was talking with somebody and listening about this, like, where can we find hope in this moment? Like, it can feel hopeless. It can feel overwhelming and daunting with all the things that are happening. And this person, like, reframed it, that yes, all these things are happening and these things have happened over history, but like we were born in this time and this place with our consciousness to be able to do something about it. So she had this notion that that we're all spiritual elders, that we, by doing our spiritual work, we're not going to repeat the same cycle over and over. We are going to be active, conscious evolutionaries, that we are going to use this moment and all of these moments that can be painful or that can be harmful or wrong. We can use that to grow in our own evolution and our own spiritual consciousness. And then that helps us heal the race consciousness. That helps us heal and bring in a new experience of Earth, because we are willing to do the work. We're awake enough to know that we can transform and heal this time. And so we're bringing that awareness, that possibility, that potentiality to the moment. So that's what's called for. We can be steadfast in that. So circling back, what's called for is that we can do the work when we come up to those things that can be hard, not only for ourselves or in the environment around us. Whenever we have an experience of fear or powerlessness or rage at what's happening, we can take the moment to really reflect and do the work. Like, where is that in me? How is that living in me? How am I experiencing that in the world, in my life? And can I heal that? Can I do whatever, meditation or journaling or working with a practitioner or taking a class, whatever that spiritual work is that helps me become more aware and more free of these old patterns that I've been living into. Because the more free I can be, the more free I can hold the possibility for the world around me to be. So I can also acknowledge the imagination. I can imagine a world that works for everyone. I can start trying to embody and live into that. I can seek that garment of God wherever I am. And the more I see that, the more I experience that and have that be the experience for others. And I can be in the experience of love. I can let myself be present to what I love, whether it's family or my community or how we interact in our neighborhood and the land that I live in, the physical geography that I'm at. That we are for something, that action starts from what we love. Fear drives anger and constriction. Love drives joy and possibility. So I want to stay in that place. I want to live and move from that place. And then it's about being present to what other people love, because we know that there are differences, and even in our politics, there's a lot of division. There's a lot of people who have different ideas about the solutions to going forward. So if I can, instead of being caught up in the differences or in the judgment, because I can certainly, I don't know about you, but I can certainly have opinions about some people on the other side of the political spectrum, right? So I always find that if I can go back to finding and connecting with them at what they love, then we can find some common ground. So if I can be present, so I'm going to practice being present to what people love, that everyone loves something. And so if we can share what we love with each other, we can see each other's humanity and feel that love, feel each other's value. So that way we can move forward in understanding. And when I'm present to someone who has a different experience, or I'm present to someone who's been harmed or impacted by an action that I've taken or an unconscious bias that I've had or something, I can listen with love and try understanding to get to what they love, rather than listening from reactivity or defensiveness or denial. So it's really like coming back and staying in that loving place, like you mentioned in your vision for your center here. It's really important for us to stay there. I'll end with some hope. Part of this podcast I was listening to about the environment said, where can we find hope? And hope is not something that happens when we're in a place of positive circumstances and guaranteed outcomes that we want. Hope is when we're in the place that feels dark and uncertain, and we have the faith and knowing regardless of what we see. And so this person was sharing that there is hope to be found. There's a lot that's happening. She said it's kind of like, if like the metaphor of the rock that Sisyphus kept pushing up the hill, and then it would be loose and then kind of roll back down, and they kept pushing it up, and then it would fall loose and roll back down. She said, it's not like that. It's like there's all these thousands of little hands pushing, and we've gotten the boulder actually over the crest of the hill, and we're gaining momentum. We're actually on the other side. There's a lot happening. She was saying that, even like in Texas, where as conservative as it can be, that Dallas-Fort Worth was the first airport to be completely 100% carbon neutral, or that Houston is on track to meet the Paris climate accords on time or earlier. That there are groups on both sides of the political spectrum, even young evangelicals who are for climate change. That it's not so binary that, one side's for it and one side's against it. There are people of all beliefs and all spectrums and demographics that are working for things, that are making change. So there is things that we can know and seek and allow to grow because we're paying attention to that and we're living into that. So that's my challenge for us today, is to take time to experience awe and wonder wherever you are. Let yourself be saturated in that for whatever moments you can, to hold and be present to what's happening that may be hard or harmful, with a space of love and compassion for yourself and for the other person. And then to move forward and act whatever it is from oneness, from that divine intelligence that's coming from a devotion to our planet and our home that we all share and love. So I will close with a affirmative prayer. So I'll just ask you all to take a moment with me and join in this intentional moment of time. And just know that there is that infinite loving intelligence that wants to know itself through each of us and through all of us and through this entire planet and all the ways that we live and have our being. And so I know that divine intelligence, that is a intelligence and a presence of loving wisdom. It's always a presence and never an absence. And so I know that it's absolutely present for each of us as we do our own individual work, as we move about the planet, bringing blessings, being a blessing and blessed by all that we receive from our planet Earth, from all that we receive from the environment, and all that we give with our loving, conscious awareness, all the growth that we bring as spiritual elders. I call that forth now. I know that this high vibration of consciousness continues to expand in each of us for the good of ourselves and the good of our community. So I am so grateful to know this truth. I can surrender it and know it's already done in the mind of God. And so I just let it be with great thanksgiving. And so it is. Thank you. Okay.
Bang that drum, rattle that saber, shoot first, ask questions later. Just ain't practical to love your neighbor. It's a crazy world. Let's make a circle out of that line. Think about us and not just yours and mine. There's another way beyond the blue and gray, where we all can lay our weapons down. There's a brighter light beyond the wrong and right, and if we let it shine tonight, until we live to love again another day, there's another way. Still that anger, unclench that fist. Feel the power of forgiveness. There's a new sun rising in the morning mist. It's a beautiful world. If flesh and blood were born out of the stars, can't help believing somewhere in our hearts there's another way. On the blue and gray, we all can lay our weapons down. There's a higher light beyond the wrong and right. And if we let it shine tonight, we'll learn to love again another day. There's another way. There's a brighter light beyond the wrong and right. And if we let it shine tonight, we'll live to love again another day. I pray there's another way. Another way.
Thank you so much, Jubel and Jeff. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And let's give another thank you to Reverend Sarah for a beautiful talk. Thank you. And I'm going to especially acknowledge, I'm in the thank you mode here, our Jocelyn and Olive and Tanvir, who are doing sound and audio for us today. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm done now. So I'm going to invite our beloveds in service to come forward. Collecting this morning on behalf of the congregation are Cindy Lambert and Frank Connolly. And receiving on behalf of the congregation is practitioner Dinah Williams. No, not today, but thanks for asking. Yeah, your conscious contributions to this center do allow us to continue on doing all of our wonderful work. And one of the easiest ways to do this, to make contributions, is through text to give. You just send a text to 951-419-5858 with the amount you wish to contribute. You can also go on our website. Up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a word contribute, and click down and do it that way. And for those in the sanctuary, you can, of course, do it the more traditional way and drop your contributions in the basket as it comes around. So we are absolutely so grateful for your ongoing generosity. And we have a lovely affirmation that is coming up. Yes, there it is, our abundance affirmation. So would you please place whatever you're choosing to give over your heart space, and let's say this affirmation together. I give and receive freely and generously with an open heart and an open mind. The universe responds to me in kind. I know that my beloved community is richly blessed, and so it is.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I just have a few announcements. Well, more than a few, but I'll go fast. And then we will be closing out. And I invite everyone to join us for hospitality across the way in Johnson Hall for coffee and snackies, as Reverend Jeff would say. So I do want to remind you, we have a nice and beautiful section on our website, riversidecsl.org, and it's called What's Happening. So I invite you to go there because there is just so much coming up in the next few months. Just check that often, please. But here are a few of the things that we want to highlight right now. And the first is the Furry Friends Food Drive, which is in association with our community partner, Mary S. Roberts Pet Adoption Center. We're inviting throughout the month of August to bring in dry and canned pet food. You can leave it in the lobby, or if you want to come during office hours, can leave it there. And so we're on this pet food drive. So mine's right by the front door. I forgot to bring it today. But anyway, if you'll do that, and our beautiful practitioner, Jeannie, who is our animal chaplain, will take care of getting it over to Mary S. Roberts. The second is a project for Keep Riverside Clean and Beautiful on Saturday, August the 21st. It's sponsored by the Green Faith Group, and we're participating in a community cleanup day for this particular ward that our center is located in. So you'll be getting a couple more details on the start time and what's all involved with that, but that will be a beautiful community benefit. And then upcoming on Sunday, August 21st, we've got the ice cream social. So, woohoo, yes, everyone's excited. Me too. Dinah wants us to wear hats, so we'll do that. And but it'll be delicious, and of course, right after service. Also, towards the end of the month, on Saturday, August the 27th, we have a movie night downstairs in the community room, 7 o'clock. We're going to be talking about Bruno, and it's just $5 with unlimited popcorn. What could be better than that? So come on out and support us with that. Looking to September, we've got Riverside's Inland Empire Pride Festival going on Sunday, September 4th. It's at downtown in the Riverside Municipal Auditorium. And we have a sign-up sheet that is on the table in the lobby there to sign up for a volunteer shift at our booth that the center is having there. So please, if you have questions, see Greg, but do sign up. We really need your help with that. Also, September 24th, there's a brush and brunch paint party here from 10 to 12. It's going to be awesome. And right in Johnson Hall, we're going to paint our symbol of the beautiful stained glass window. It's just $45. And again, you can see Ray and Greg if you have questions on that, but you can register for that online. And that's going to be fabulous, really fun. In September, Thursdays in the evening, 6:30 to 8:30, there is a Manifest More Money class on Zoom that we're participating in. So please register for that on the website, and that'll be fabulous. And I think that's it. Yeah, we're affirming that we're out and about and really active and being in community with one another. So isn't that great? So we have an affirmation that we're going to say. Ooh, yeah, there it is. I will say it first, and then I'll invite you to say it together. And let's go ahead and stand, because we're going to do the affirmation, and then we'll do the benediction and sing ourselves out. So here, I'll read the affirmation first. I am one with all of life on planet Earth. So together, I am one with all of life on planet Earth. Beautiful. And please repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called love. Love is in my mind. Hey, say it louder, okay? Love is in my body. Love is in everything I do. I am it. I share it. I receive it. And I move love forward. Because love lives here. Happy Sunday, everybody. Let's sing.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It's this thing called love. Love is in my mind. Love is in my body. Love is in everything I do. I am it, share it, receive it. And I move it forward because love lives here. Love lives here.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now. It's this thing called love. Love is in my mind. Love is in my body. Love is in everything I do. I am it, I share it, receive it. And I move it forward because love lives here. Oh, love lives here. Yeah. Love lives here. All right, have a great Sunday, you guys. We love you. It's hot out there. Go get some snacks. When the world puts you down and you're feeling lonely, when you can't find your truth or find your center, there are many here who gather together. Oh, unconditionally, we love each other. The scars that we see just make it stronger. We breathe it in together, hold you up with grace. We know that love lives here in you and me. Love lives here. My soul breaks free. So excited to be united with you. Well, love lives here. Well, love lives here. When life gets you down, you can see the future. When it all seems too much for you to handle, there are many here who gather, be together. Whoa, unconditionally, we pray together, and the hurt that you feel will be set free. We breathe it in together, hold you up with grace. You know that love lives here, and you and me. Love lives here. My soul breaks free. So excited to be united with you. Where love lives here. Where love lives here. Love lives here. Yay! Love lives here.